Everything's good. So I'm doing this webinar talking to product managers and also talking to designers who might want to work better with your product managers. So for the product managers who are on the call and who don't know what Abstract is, let me give you a little bit of an intro. So Abstract is, it's a design workflow management system. We provide modern teams with one place to version, manage, and collaborate on your files. So with this slide, I really like to point out that the number one problem we're solving here is file management for designers. So we have a Mac app that designers are going to put all of their sketch files in, and soon we're going to be supporting XD files as well. So they'll put all their sketch or XD files into Abstract, and they'll open their sketch files from there. So we're giving them a place for file management, and because they're opening their sketch files from within within Abstract, we have built in the ability to version. We've borrowed from the developer community, running, using Git, and we've built in the technology to version those files using Git technologies. Because they're managing their files in there and we're versioning them, we've also built collaboration tools within there. So some of the benefits of Abstract is that the way that we organize files into Abstract, we do those by projects, and I'll get into that a little bit. But in those projects, you have a single source of truth for all of your products or features that you're working on. And we call that single source of truth master. And so the master is going to make up all the different design files, sketch or XD, that make up your product. So it really gives that system of record and a history for your product. We also allow designers to work in parallel. So if I'm working on the account.sketch and let's say Paula's working on an account.sketch, we can do that at the same time, and Abstract takes care of those merging. And then collaboration. We have collaboration tools. We allow you to request a review. We allow you to annotate, comment, share, and we're working on more collaboration tools every day. So available platforms. For product managers, so we have a Mac app, and the Mac app is going to be where your designers are working in Sketch. So they'll open their sketch files from the Mac app, they will have synced the sketch files from the cloud, and they open them from the Mac app to work in Sketch. And we have a plugin in Sketch that works alongside with their designs and syncing their changes back to the Mac app and then up to the cloud. We also have a web app, and so the web app is going to be what I see product managers using mostly. You can download the Mac app, but you don't really need to download the Mac app. This is because you don't need to sync sketch files down to your local computer. And so with the Mac app, you need to sync, but with the web app, you can just open it here. Here in this slide, I have a view of one of our demo projects. It's called STEM Society, and this is what you would see, and you would see the projects that you've been added to. And so yeah, I recommend using the web app. You can do everything you can do in the Mac app. You just can't edit sketch files, and you can't create branches or master. And a product manager is not going to, you're not going to have that role anyway. So then a Git-based workflow. So, where Abstract got started is our two founders, Josh Brewer and Kevin Smith. Josh Brewer is a designer, Kevin Smith is an engineer. They were working together on some projects, and they just noticed that design workflow wasn't as smooth as it could be. And so they thought, what if we could, use version control with our design files? So this is how it got started. Now we're not getting as complex as, developers and all the different Git commands, but we have, we are using a few different techniques. So I like to just go over these with product managers and other stakeholders that will be using this, just so they understand the workflow that designers are using. So there's a master branch, and that master is going to contain all of the files that make up the feature or product you're working on. So let's say your product is a website. You might have a homepage.sketch, an account.sketch, a landing page.sketch, a search listing page.sketch. So all those sketch files are going to be part of your master branch. And then if your designer wants to make changes, they can't edit the master branch directly because we always need that as a source of truth. In order to make a change, they're going to create what we call a branch. And so that will be a duplicate copy of all of those files that make up that website, and they'll be able to make their changes in Sketch. They'll save locally, but when they're ready to send their changes to the cloud, they'll make what we call a commit. And so that's just within their branch, they're making these commits. And you can kind of see along, in this example, master, you get a duplicate copy. So that's a blank circle. And each of these commits, the circle changes a little bit. And so then they take those designs, they take them to design critique. They review them with the product manager. They review them with the engineers. And we provide the space to bring all of those people into Abstract to comment and look at the designs. When everybody's approved it, then we allow that designer to merge to the source of truth. So that is how we're using the Git workflow. All right, so that was just a review of what Abstract is for any newbies here who know your designers are using Abstract, but you kind of want to get a little bit of a 101. So getting access. So the way you're going to get access is Abstract is going to have an admin. That's probably going to be a, design manager or a design ops person or someone who's managing your tools, the design tools. So they're going to invite you. And so this, in the background, this screen shows the invite flow. You're going to be invited as a viewer. So there we have two roles, contributors and viewers. Your designers are going to be contributors, and those are paid seats. The viewers are all free and unlimited. So you can invite product managers, accessibility team, content people, content writers, UX writers, and developers, all for free. So you're going to get invited as a viewer, and then you're going to get an email that looks like this screen. So in this example, you've been invited to STEM Society and you accept the invitation. So one thing I like to really specify here is, let me just take some time to do some questions here really quickly in the chat. Audio is back, can see, we're back. Okay, so everybody, I just want you to know I'm not doing video, so you won't see my face, but you should be able to see the slides. Can everyone see the slides? Yep, okay. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So Josh asks, would your team be able to give us read-only access to some of the demo projects you've set up? Josh, we do have, we have something called Test Drive. Abstract, and so that is, we give some sketch files here. I'm just sending you, so we give you some sketch files there to test drive and create your, so you can create a trial, upload the files and import. We have some videos there. We are working on an open project that you can demo. It's just, we haven't gotten there yet. I see that Gosh has a problem. I don't know how to organize branches if I have several tasks for several artboards. See scheme. Gosh, I'll follow up with you after this call. That's a pretty specific problem for designer. So we'll get into that. Okay, so getting access. Yes, so you'll get an email. You'll either be invited to the entire organization, but mostly I see product managers getting invited to just their projects. You can have your designer add you as a project admin, and that means that, and I see product managers, you know, they're product admins, so project admins, so they can add different engineers or different people within the product model grouping that they need to get into the projects. So yeah, so here's a little bit about that viewer role. Like I said, viewer roles are free and unlimited, so you can have as many stakeholders who aren't designers in Abstract for free. Viewers can leave feedback, they can inspect screens, they can approve review requests, they can also download the assets along with the files. So, you know, you would be signing in, and then the screen in the background shows the projects you would be able to see. Okay, cool. So let's go back into presentation mode. What to expect when you do log in. So on this left side here, you see your main navigation, projects, activity, reviews, and people. So projects are going to be all of the different projects your designers are working in. And I'll go over projects set up here in a second. Activity. So I see product managers using activity. It allows them to be able to come into a project or the organization and see kind of what's going on. You know, so this allows you to step in and like jump in and leave comments in different places. Reviews are all the active review requests you have going on in an organization, and I'll talk about that feature in a little bit. I see designers pulling product managers and engineers and other stakeholders in through review requests. So that's a really important feature. And then people here is where you're going to manage the people who are in your project. Mostly that won't be you. Okay, so projects are the foundation for organizing your team's work in Abstract. So these little squares here, so we have sections, which is marketing, product, and website. Under the sections, you're gonna have projects. So under marketing, we have a branding project. We have a product screenshots project. Under product, we have an Android app. So let's say you're the product manager for an Android app. You might only have access to this project because that's the project or product that you're really interested in. So we see customers setting up their projects by platform. So maybe you have a Mac app, an iOS app, or an Android app. So that really works for people. And again, this is really, you know, we suggest designers set up their projects by how the work is being done, or how the work is being received by your users rather. So like, is it web or is it a Mac app? Or, you know, we also see people setting them up by feature or product. Because I know in a lot of teams, a product manager might be a product manager of just a specific feature within that user journey. So this is an example of a photo app. So you might have a product manager who's a manager of just that edit experience, and then someone who's really working on the gallery experience. And then you have specific design teams working on that experience. So you might see projects set up like that. Okay, so that's projects. That's the overall how we're going to set up, and that's how you're going to get in to be able to do some of these collaboration features. So the next thing we're going to talk about is review requests. So with review requests, a designer is going to be working in their branch. Remember, a branch is a safe space for them to do their work because they can't directly edit the master. So they're going to get a duplicate copy of all the files of that feature or product they're working on. They're going to make their edits, and usually a branch is tied to a specific ticket or a task. So as a product manager, you might be, you know, working with that designer, you know, in your sprint review saying like, okay, this is the, you know, the problems you're going to solve here, and we'll have a ticket for that. That branch will probably reflect that problem they're solving or that ticket. They're going to be probably working on like 5, 6, 7, 8 screens to solve that problem in that branch. When they're ready for review, we have this status menu, really, and this is the request review. I'm going to just zoom in. So I tell designers every branch starts out no status. When you first get in there, make it work in progress. That signifies to product managers, and I think this is really important for your product managers to know. If you see something that's a status work in progress, the designer is not ready for you to jump in and start giving feedback. So I would just leave those branches alone and just give your designer a little bit of space to work. They can then check open for feedback. That signifies in that activity stream that I showed you before that you'll get a visual indicator. It'll turn blue. And so when you see branches that are open for feedback, that means it's cool for you to jump in and start giving feedback. We then have a feature called request review. And so if they click that request review, they'll be able to add specific people, so product managers and engineers and other designers, and then you will get an email that your designer has requested a review from you. You'll jump into that branch. We have a very specific flow where you can give thumbs up and approve the changes, or you can say, hey, I have some changes requested. You'll be able to put a comment in there, tell them what you would like to change, and then they'll get a notification that changes were requested. They'll then go in and go through that flow again and make their updates. This is the way that I see product managers and engineers working together. So if your designer isn't using review requests, you might, say to them like, hey, can we try for this next ticket or task you're working on in that branch you have open? Can we try using this review request? So let me just talk a little bit about the notifications that you'll get. If you have, if your designer has assigned you to request a review, you'll get this notification here. And then you'll be able to jump into that branch and review the request. Also, you'll get an email. So this is a great way to jump into the work. And the one thing you want is to be able to have context when you're jumping into that review request. And so what we tell designers to do is create a collection. Now, a collection is a feature that is a grouping of artboards. Remember you have a branch. A designer has a branch to work in. They have access to all the files that make up that product or feature, but they're probably only going to work on 5 to 10 of the screens within that entire product. So we say create a collection, put the artboards you've worked on in that collection, and you can share that collection with a product manager, an engineer, or other stakeholders. So they contain a set of artboards or layers that the designer curates to share. So this is a picture of a collection here. And so you see the artboards that they're sharing. They've got a summary of to give you some context. So one cool thing about collections is presentation mode. And I see a lot of product managers, sometimes they just need to grab artboards to show their other product team. I see them working in abstract and just grabbing the collections that their designers have created in order to show more work. So this allows you a full screen preview. If I zoom in here, you see this button that says present. You can just click there. And a little meta secret is I'm actually in a collection right now called Abstract for Product Managers, and I am presenting. I'm in present mode. So if I click this, I go into present mode. I'm going to make it not full screen. I go into present mode, and here I am there, in my slides. So I can just click through here, and I don't have to create PowerPoints anymore. I don't have to create keynotes. I can just present from there. So I'm going to jump back into where I was. I can also go in here and just click on the specific artboard that I want to present from. All right, so providing feedback. This is the most important thing, like when to provide feedback, when to know. So I would mostly provide feedback with your designer once they've created a collection. So you'll get pulled into your designer will request a review. You'll get pulled in, you'll see a collection on their branch. You'll jump into that collection, and then you'll be able to click through their artboards. We have a commenting, the icon, you'll see it's blue at the very bottom. You can click that and open this commenting window, and you'll be able to comment. You can draw annotations. We number the annotations. You can mention your designers or content people. And so this is really where you can have that conversation and create that thread of conversation around the product. You can also jump into the inspect tool, this symbol right here, that's like kind of the code icon. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So, and I would say only provide feedback when the branch says open for feedback or you've been invited to give feedback. Then share links. How is your designer going to send you a link to this collection? We have share links, and I'll jump out of this collection here so you can share this. You can copy the link to the collection. I can change sharing settings. I can say only people in this project or anyone with the link, and I can send all versions. And I can choose if I want to send the inspect screens. That's for your engineers. So this gives you like a permanent link that you can send to people to be able to jump into this collection and view the artboards. All right, so we're getting down to time. I have a few more things to talk about, and then we'll answer some questions. Tips and tricks. So tips and tricks. These are just a few things that I collected from our product managers and our designers and how they work together. So giving context in a branch summary. So let me just zoom in here. So we have this summary here, and I really recommend that designers start putting their ticket in here. This all supports Markdown, and I've seen one of our designers, Sarah, she gives she writes amazing branch summaries, and I've modeled this after her. So context, she puts the user problem she's solving, any insight from engineering. I see links to research being put in here, and proposed solution. So this gives great context for anyone jumping into the branch from a review request. They can see this context, they can click on the ticket, they can also click right into a collection. So I love this. If you don't see your designers doing this, recommend they do it. And I've been really, as I'm teaching teams to do this, I've been showing them. I have a Markdown example. If you're interested, I can post that on my Twitter. All right. Also involving engineers and knowing when to involve engineers. So just going to go into this screenshot here. This is a view of our inspect tool. With a collection, your engineer will get this inspect tool. On the left side, we have layers, and then they can click through on the properties, and they can get CSS, content, and assets. One thing that's cool here in the very bottom right-hand corner, we have inspect options. I've done kind of a zoomed in view. This is important for product managers because a lot of times you might be managing different platforms of an experience. So we allow engineers, if you're an Android engineer, we have support density independent pixels and this hex ARGB. So we really allow them to pick what inspect options they're using. So I just want to show you guys that to know that that exists. I would also pull engineers in through the review requests. And then last but not least, we have an SDK. And, you know, I know a lot of product managers come from an engineering background. Even if you don't, you're working with engineers every day. We have this SDK. It's sdk.goabstract.com, or it's probably .abstract.com. We're doing some cool things with our SDK. The first thing, we're starting to embed Artboard. Soon we'll embed Collections. We see design systems teams hitting asset endpoints to be able to pull the assets directly into their design system for engineers. We have a really great blog post that I'll tweet out today about different things companies are doing with our SDK. But this is, you know, we're building this so you'll be able to really make that design to developer handoff smooth. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. And I'm just going to spend about 5 minutes on some questions here. So Elizabeth asks, is there a history of changes in the current branch? Yes, that's what commits are. So I'll just jump into our STEM Society here. And this is our demo. So if I'm in a branch here, I haven't made any commits there. Let me actually go down to here, core screens. So these are all of the different commits. I can jump into here and jump into, you know, a commit is basically a snapshot of where your artboard was. I can click into an artboard and I can jump between, here's when I branch from master, and here's what this screen looks like now. And let's see, Ellen asks, how did I get there? That was a few minutes ago. Okay, so Josh, follow up on my previous question. I'm already deep into setting up my own projects. I would love to see your recommendations for best practices. Our main thing, Josh, and I can answer this more offline, is really setting projects based upon the way your products that you're working on is set up, and setting up your design systems, your libraries in a way that, you know, you have your atomic designs in one place, and then it really is like, how much are you going to be updating things? So, but yeah, projects, I can quickly just show you the files here. You know, these are all the sketch files that represent this product. And then here are our linked libraries. The linked libraries are set up in a different design system project that you'll have to go and edit there. But Josh, hit me up offline and we can talk more about that. Anne asks, if by the end of the demo you didn't already do this, can you show us where viewers would download assets? Yep, no problem. So I'm gonna click, you can either go into the layers, but usually a dev is gonna get a collection. So here's where the assets are. We have 3 tabs at the top: comment, compare, and inspect. If I click on inspect, you'll see the assets down here in the right-hand panel right here, and you can download all. We support all download file formats that Sketch supports. I can also click specifically on that layer and I can download from there. Cool. Whoa. How did you add sections to organize your projects? Okay, so sections are an enterprise feature. So first you have to be on an enterprise license. I'm trying to get to my overview, STEM Society. Yeah, so sections, that's one of our enterprise features. So, you know, we're gonna probably start building out, you know, more advanced permissioning around sections. We're doing some discovery on what that would look like. Okay, I'm gonna just answer a few more questions and then we'll wrap this up. The challenge, so Sujan says, the challenge we're having is communicating that we've made changes after a reviewer has requested changes. Today we have to Slack the reviewer. Is something in the works where reviewers will be notified through Abstract when we've resolved changes they've requested? Yeah, that's a great question. Usually what I do is I will kick it back into, let's see, I think that you know, when changes are requested, you can then do a comment stream here. Let's see, let me get to my branch. So you can, you know, you can do a comment stream here. I can mention and say like, hey, Alden, I've updated that branch that I've already done, you know, the changes you requested. And I believe in our review request, you can keep commenting. So I would try this activity and see if that works for you. The design team moved to abstract. I'm onboarding the rest of this is Matt's question. I'm onboarding the rest of the engineering department. Is it possible to get a copy of this presentation to use for internal training? Great overview. Yep, Matt, no problem. We can get you a copy of that. If you email me at Andrea@abstract, I'm just sending you my email. Hit me up and we'll get that out to you. Wow, we have a lot of questions. I only have time for 2 more questions. Does Abstract ever have a design system feature in the works? It just depends on what you mean by design system. The way we really suggest setting up design systems are, let me go back to here. We have a design system project, and we are creating, so we have these projects, we're creating collections around that. We are working on discovery around doing like notes and comments on specific components. So that is one thing we're looking at. So yeah, David, if you have more questions, let me know. Do comments, Dave Barry asks, and this is gonna be the last question because I gotta run to a conference. If I don't answer any of your questions, hit me up on Twitter. You can email me, or you can jump on our Spectrum. And let me get all of that contact information for you really quickly. So webinars, projects, let me get to my collections, and boom. So contact us, you know, you can contact us here. Hit me up on the Spectrum. I'm on that community. You can also tweet me at Andrea Burton. So Dave Barry says, do comments live anywhere else than on the Artboard? Do they show up on the activity feed? So they live on the Artboard. I believe that, let's see what shows up on the activity feed. If I jump into our demo, yeah, the comments do show up on this activity feed. So that would be a great place for product managers to really see what's going on. You can see that I've, you know, changed here from open to feedback to in review, or Trey did this. So yeah, I think that the activity feed would be a great place to just center in your comments. So I didn't get everyone's questions. I'm sorry, hit me up. And yeah, it was great talking with everyone, and have a great day. And if you're in Vancouver at Design and Content, come and find me. I'd love to chat. All right, everybody have a great day. Take care.